All right, Neely, one of the things we want to talk about before we get to really working on catching ground balls and all of that kind of stuff is where do you play out here? You know, and that's really based on a lot of different things, and some of them your coach may not have told you about, and some of them you may not have ever thought about. But first thing you need to think about is your own team. You know, how well does your team do things? Like, if you're first baseman, what's her name? Rachel, I think, on your team. I think I saw y'all play Rachel. Let's say Rachel doesn't move very well and doesn't catch balls very well between you and her, and you're playing second base, then where would you maybe need to move toward? Toward first, right. You got to move a little bit closer to the people that don't catch the ball well. And you need to know what the other people on your team can do. You also need to know what you can do. If you're real quick, you can play farther back. If you're slow, you got to play, you know, a little closer and this kind of thing so you can get to the ball. Or you may even play a little farther back, you know, when you're slow based on certain hitters on the other team. You've got to think about your team, and you've got to think about the other team. Where's that girl likely to hit the ball, you know, and how hard does she hit it? You got to think about the situation, like what's the score? What inning is it? How many outs are there? You know, these types of things. And you've got to think about the conditions of the field. Like if the dirt's real hard, the ball's going to come faster to you, isn't it? You know, if the dirt's soft, it's not going to get to you quite as quick. So if the dirt is soft, you play closer. If the dirt is hard, you play farther back. And all of these have a lot to do with where you play out here. You know, a lot of kids will just come out here and they say, second base is right here. And they play the same place on every player. We want you to move around a little bit so your blood doesn't clot, okay? So when you come out here to play second base, move around some. And then I want to see what you got on the bottom of your feet. This has got something to do with where you're playing too. Show me the bottom of your shoes, all right? You've got cleats on there, don't you? You've got cleats, and I've got cleats. And a lot of times out here, you need to use those cleats to kind of be a housekeeper. Does your mother keep the house good? Mm-hmm. Okay, she takes care of her house. You want to take care of your house out here where the ball is going to be bouncing. Like, see right here where somebody was running and the dirt's not quite as level as it maybe ought to be? Sure. Just take your shoes and smooth that out between pitches, you know. See if you can smooth that one out. All right, smooth it out, and now when the ball comes along and bounces there, it won't take a bad hop. So think about where you're going to play based on your team and the other team and the situation and the conditions, and then take care of your house out here and keep it clean so that you've got a good place to play in. Okay, Neil, we talked about your glove now, and we got you out here and you kind of know where to play based on all these different things we've talked about. You got to get ready. You know, when the pitcher throws the ball, you want to be ready. How do you get ready? I want you to show me the way you get ready. Okay, that's exactly the way a lot of people do it. And your hands are on your knees. But think about it. To move or catch a ball now, what would you have to do with your hands and stuff? Take them off your knees. So instead of having your hands on your knees, maybe where should you have them? Show me another way to get a stance. All right. Now, you're down there real low, aren't you? Mm-hmm. All right. And you're getting low because that's where you got to be when you catch the ball. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. A lot of coaches, do that again so everybody can see that, okay? A lot of coaches get their players down low. Okay, you can stand up because I know that's not very comfortable, is it? A lot of coaches get their players down low like this to get ready. Now, a lot of those same players that the coaches tell to do that are like this, like Neely was to start with. But even if they do it right, according to their coach, and get down here, they're still wrong. Let's think about it a minute. What are we getting ready to do? What are we getting ready to do? When the ball's hit, the first thing you've got to do is not catch it, but move to it. So you need to be getting ready to move rather than getting ready to catch. It's not time to catch it yet. Unless you're maybe a first baseman or a third baseman in fast pitch and you're playing in real close, then you may have to get down a little bit more. But you need to be in a position from which you can move. All right, Neely, let's show them again how your feet were. All right, and if you'll notice, Neely's feet are about shoulder width or a little farther apart. That's a very good position to move from feet-wise. Now, you want your weight on the balls of those feet, the balls of your feet, not your toes. Sometimes we have coaches that tell their infielders, be on your toes, be on your toes. Well, if you're on your toes, get on your toes a minute. Which way are you moving?
Forward.
You're moving forward. And you may not have to go forward to catch a ball. You may have to go right, left, back, or forward. So we want the weight on the balls of your feet right in here so that you're ready to move. Now, we want your knees bent like you had them a while ago, and we want your waist bent. We want your eyes looking at the plate, looking to where the ball is going to be coming to you from, which is out of the strike zone. Now, your hands, we said a while ago, shouldn't be on your knees. We said they shouldn't be down low. Well, where should they be? That's what you're asking right now. Where should they be? Well, we're getting ready to move. So you ought to have your hands in a position that you put them in when you move. And most of us, when we move, put our hands beside us. That's the way we normally run. So that's the way we want our hands. We want our feet spread, we want our knees bent, we want to be bent at the waist, back pretty straight, and our eyes focused on home plate. And we want our hands right in here where we move from, right in here. I'm really ready to go right now, except for one thing. Sir Isaac Newton, who was an old scientist back in Italy, told us that a body at rest tends to remain at rest. That means something that still tends to stay there. Have you ever seen your daddy come home after work and lay down on the sofa? It's hard to get him up again, isn't it? It's hard to get him up. A body at rest tends to remain at rest. He also said a body in motion tends to remain in motion. Now, what he means by that is if you're already moving, it's easier to get going. And so instead of just standing here still, we'd like these feet moving just a little bit. Just a little bit. If you want to be walking in, that's fine, but be careful about that because it's gotten you headed in the direction you might not be going. So I like to tell infielders to spread their feet, bend their knees, bend their waist, keep their eyes on the strike zone, get their hands in here ready to move, and keep their feet kind of moving. Now, I'm ready to go wherever I've got to go to. Why don't you see if you can do that for us? Work on that stance. Feet spread, hands off your knees now, all right, and move your feet a little bit, just picking them up, all right? Now, see, she's pretty much ready. She's looking. Now, she's got her hands in here, and before she moves, she's going to have to separate them. But the feet were great, the knees were great, the waist was great, the eyes were great. She's really concentrating. Work on the hands. You got a perfect ready position, okay? That's super for her age to be in that good a ready position. She's really ready to move, and that's the next thing we're going to look at, the actual movement to the ball.